Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, it is my very great pleasure to have as my guest, Laura Chotkevys. You might recall that in episode 206, I read several incredible testimonies that had been sent to me through both email and text. Laura's was one that I read. When Laura first emailed me her praise report, my schedule prohibited me from setting up a time where she could personally tell her story. So I asked, could I simply read it on the podcast, as it was a testimony too encouraging to let linger without sharing. Of course, my desire and request to her was to bring her on at a later time. Well, today is that later time. And Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. You have such an incredible story to tell. So before we get into the details of your journey, why don't you share a little about yourself, where you're from, your family, and your business?
Of course, I would love to. Before I do that, I wanted to thank you. I think that I struggled so much with my iron and didn't know where to turn. And when I first saw your podcast, I was just, wow, this is the answer. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you for all that you do, the information, education that you provide to people. So thank you, Sue.
You are so very welcome. It's such a blessing to be able to do what I love and then hear these amazing stories. So, yeah.
Yes, agreed. Yes. Well, my name is Laura Chotkevys. I live in the Central Texas area, and I have two beautiful daughters, 11 and 14, and I'm married to my incredible husband, Brett, and we've been married for 20 years, which is crazy for me to say. I know, because I still feel so young. And to say that's crazy.
My husband Brad and I celebrated 50 years.
Oh my goodness. I will get there one day.
I'm like, how is that possible?
You're still like 25, right? Like, I don't know how it's possible.
I know. Sometimes I feel that. And other times I'm like, okay, now I'm feeling it. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love that. No problem. So we live in the Central Texas area, and my husband and I are serial entrepreneurs. We love business. We love growth and development. And so we own a couple of businesses here in the Texas area. We own Platinum Resort, assisted living and memory care. So I've always had a heart for grandparents. Ever since I was a child, I just am drawn toward older adults. And so amazing. Just being able to create an environment that's beautiful, but also has the care behind it is just something I'm very passionate about.
Wow.
So we own that. We have 3 of those locations here in Georgetown, Texas. And then we also own another business. It's called Assisted Living Mansion, where we teach people how to build what we build here in Texas. So we have little platinum resorts pretty much all over the United States. So what's really cool about it is we're teaching people, we're helping people help people, which always makes me smile.
Yes, absolutely.
Teaching people how to build assisted living mansions in their neighborhood and how to operate them with love and care.
That's amazing. Wow. That is so amazing. That's just such a blessing, I know, to you and your husband and all those that jump on board and learn from you.
Yes,
so,
it is.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right in. You mentioned in your email that before discovering Real Bread, both you and your daughter were gluten-free for about 6 years. You said that you were both thrust into that lifestyle. What was going on in your lives that caused you and your daughter to have to go gluten-free? And tell us how old your daughter was at the time.
Yeah. So she was about 4.5 years old. And then, so we both were just kind of struggling with our health. I personally was going through this weird, like depressive stage, like where I just got really kind of gloomy, kind of the Eeyore vibe. And I didn't know what it was. And so I personally got tested first with my blood, and I did a urine test and a poop test. I did it all.
Yeah.
And it came back that I was just really sensitive to gluten, and that was probably something that I needed to cut out of my diet. And so I did, and I did feel better. I was back to my normal self. I'm a very cheerful, joyful individual. And so going through that time was very difficult because it wasn't me. It wasn't really who I am. And so it did help me. My daughter, on the other hand, she was so little. She was, 4.5, and she would get migraines. And then the migraines would get so bad that she would vomit. And so it was an issue. It was happening quite frequently. And so I got her tested, obviously, right away when that started happening. And it came back that she just had some food sensitivities to gluten and beans and potatoes. And so we just cut all that out of her diet, which was not easy for a 4.5-year-old to completely cut all that. I mean, no French fries, no
all the things that we
crackers.
Love, bread, potatoes,
all the things that little kids want. And so we cut that out of her diet, and she got a lot better. She stopped having headaches. She had a few every now and again, but completely stopped her headaches and the vomiting as well. So I just attributed all the negativity toward gluten, before I found you.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But you mentioned that y'all still craved bread. That had to be
Oh my goodness.
hard.
Did we ever? Yes. I used to buy the French bread at the store, the fresh one, and just crack it open in the store while I'm still shopping and eat it. So yes, I was a big bread person.
Yes. Wow. So then, so when was this about all going through this? How many years ago?
This was about, say, 6.5 years ago now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you were gluten-free for about 6 years.
Yes, correct.
Then you began to struggle with lethargy and extreme fatigue. And when did that start happening?
Yeah. So I would say I noticed that my hair was thinning, I would say about 2 years ago. I didn't, which is so funny that I didn't really take much note of it. I kind of just brushed it off. I just thought, I'm getting older. It's probably just one of those things is going to happen. But then I started getting so tired, and I couldn't even do my daily functions. I was still getting up at 4:30, and I was going to the gym. I'm crazy like that. It was very hard for me to do, but I still did. But by 2:30, 3 o'clock, I needed a nap, and it was every single day. The brain fog was horrible. I didn't even remember conversations that I was having with people. So my team would say, "Okay, Laura, we're ready for this," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know what we're talking about."
Yeah, who are you? Where did you come from?
Yes, it was horrible, and so I got real scared. Because I'm like,
I can
what's
imagine
happening in my body. So I got my blood results. So I went to actually went through Function app, which is kind of you pay and you can get a whole blood scan.
Yeah.
And did that and saw how low all of my levels were on a bunch of different things. And so from there kind of needed to take action.
Yeah. So your iron levels were extremely low, right?
Oh, yeah. So my iron was 13 mcg, which I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know what that means, but I know it's low.
Yes, that is low. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be normal is somewhere between 80 and 180. So that was very low.
Yes.
I don't know how you
ferritin. Yeah. My ferritin was at a 4, which I know is extremely low.
Yeah.
And so it almost was like a relief, I think, when I got the results.
You're like,
okay, I know something's wrong. Okay, now I can fix it.
Yeah. So did you see a doctor for it, or you just started supplementation, or what did you do? What was your follow-up after learning this?
Yeah. So I went to multiple doctors, actually.
Oh, dear.
Yes. Multiple doctors, all of them said, I don't even know how you're getting out of bed. Your iron is so low. Your ferritin is really low. Like, how are you even functioning? And so I think after I heard that, it actually made me more tired. It was like that placebo effect, like it got in my head.
Yeah.
But so I was like, okay, well, they're all telling me that I need to do something. And of course, they all just said you need to take a supplement of iron. And so I found the purest form that I could, started taking that daily. I'm a very disciplined person. And so if I know something is going to work, then I'm going to do it. And so went all in, very disciplined about it. And I'd say about 3 months after being very disciplined, went back to get my blood results, and it was minuscule. Like, it didn't really change at all. I didn't feel any better. And so of course, myself, I was like, well, maybe I'm just not absorbing it. Maybe I need to do something to absorb it. So research myself on what's wrong. Why is my body not absorbing this? And it said it could be a parasite. It could be maybe you're taking it the wrong time of day. Maybe you're taking it with coffee. Coffee inhibits the absorption. And so I was doing all these things. I mean, I was changing everything, I didn't want to drink coffee anymore. And then I took a parasite cleanse. I was doing all these things in hopes that the iron would actually absorb in my body.
And nothing really brought significant change. Wow.
No, none of it did because I would get my blood tested and just kind of see, I wanted to make sure that there was a change and there wasn't.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't know what else to do. I would just be so emotional because I knew something was wrong and I couldn't fix it. And it was almost like a crying out to God moment, like, God, like, why aren't you showing me what to do? Like, please guide, direct me. I need something here. I need some direction.
Wow, that's amazing. So in April of 2025, you had your iron checked and it was all still low. All your levels were still very, very low. Mm-hmm. And you were pretty desperate, it sounds like. And just before you said scheduling an iron infusion. A friend told you about bread Beckers and freshly milled bread. Have you heard of this crazy lady? And what was your first reaction? You must have thought your friend was a little crazy and no way would bread help you. Really? I've tried everything. What are you talking about?
Literally. So actually, my friend who told me about it, her name is Laura. Shout out to Laura.
Yeah.
Here in Georgetown. We were having a conversation about menopause. And so, because I love talking about that too. And so then I was telling her about my blood results and she was like, well, have you heard of Sue Becker? I'm like, no, who's Sue Becker? And she's like, oh, she's the fresh milled flour lady. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
The what?
And then she went into the whole describing exactly what you do and how the fresh milled flour can, increase your health benefits and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, Laura, I'm gluten-free. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's not even the gluten that's bad. It's the commercially processed flour. And I was like, okay, like I get that because I've been to Europe and I've had their products and I haven't had, negative effects. So there must be something there. So of course, what did I do? I do what I always do. I fully dive in, like just head first, like just get to learn everything. I literally listened to your podcast starting from episode 1 and just like worked my way up to the most recent.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of That's a lot. We're currently at 200 and something. I
know. I haven't made it quite there yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I started this in, I'd say the end of October was when I started researching fresh milled flour and you in particularly. And so after I listened to maybe 20 or 25 of your episodes, I was like, all right, I think this is what I need to do. So I completely dropped all my supplements. I'm like, if I'm going to get an accurate assessment, if this works, I need to just drop all the supplements and then just go all in I'm going to give it 3 months and just see how it goes. So I bought the mill, I bought the wheat berries from you. I bought, all the stuff, the honey, the salt, everything. And then I actually bought the Zojirusi, if I don't know how you say that right.
Zojirusi. Yeah, just call it a Zo, the bread machine.
I know, literally. Bought all that too and literally just started making bread.
That's amazing.
I got to give a shout out to my mom because my mom was actually in town helping watch my girls while I was on a conference in, I say the second week in November. And so everything came in when she was here. And so I was like, hey mom, if you want to do this, like you can make this bread and see if it works for you. And she's like, of course, I'd love to. My mom's a ex home economist for Thermador. So she is like a test kitchen queen. So she took the reins. She like did her whole testing of like, oh, okay, I'd use this amount of flour, this amount of water. Okay, it didn't work very well. Dipped a little bit in the center. Let's do a little of this. And she did the whole chemistry behind it. So by the time I got back home from my conference, she had the perfect recipe for the bread machine to make perfect bread.
That is so good. Because I remember in your email, you said you were not only skeptical at first about really this bread's going to help, but you just said, I'm not the Betty Crocker type. So your mom is obviously.
Yes, my mom is.
That's amazing. I wish that we all had moms that could do that for us.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So you really only started the second week of November.
Yes, November of 2025, and it's currently February of 2026.
And you wrote me in January, but you had your blood work done in December. That's
I
amazing.
did.
For like 6
Yes.
weeks.
It was only 6 weeks. So again, I dove in. I had
Yeah.
2 pieces of bread because I know that people always ask you like how many to
How much
eat.
bread?
And how much bread? And I
Yeah.
kind of was like, okay, it's probably 1 or 2 is my guess. I don't know. I'll just try with 2.
Yeah.
So I would have 1 in the morning and then I'd have 1 with dinner at night. And I got to tell you, I'd say probably after 3 weeks, I felt different in my workouts. My workouts, I feel like I could keep up with my husband. Normally he smokes me in the workouts, but I was actually keeping up with him. I'm like, wow, okay, maybe this is working. I'm feeling a little better.
Something's different.
Yeah, something's going on. Yeah, I was able to recall things. So my brain fogginess kind of, went away. I would always struggle with words. So like if I had a word, I was like, oh, what's that word? And my husband would just kind of like not fill it in for me, but kind of give me a clue as to what the word is, which is horrible.
Yeah.
So I was able to recall words that I just didn't have a problem with it anymore. And so before I went back to California to visit family for Christmas, I was like, all right, if I'm going to tell them this bread actually works, I need to make sure that it actually does. So I went Christmas Eve, December 24th, and went and got my blood tested and was hopeful that I was going to get my results by the time I was in California with my family. And we left on Christmas Day and I pulled up my app because my results came in. It was the next day.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, I cried when I saw the number on there because I was like, oh my gosh, it's something that actually works.
Yeah.
And my number, I'm going to pull it up for you now. It was 57. It started at 13 and it was up to 57.
13, and that was in April after you had been doing supplements and parasite cleanse and all these things for a year or so. Yep. Wow.
Up to 57. When I saw that, I was like, look, I showed my husband and he was like, no way. And so, of course, now he's a believer of the bread. He eats 2 slices a day as well.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
So it was even my iron saturation went up as well because my iron saturation percentage was at a 3. It went up to a 15, which I know is still low, but it's incredible.
It's barely, normal saturation is 16 to 20. So it's
close.
Right in there. Now your ferritin, that's your storage iron, that's your storage, how much iron you have in storage. So that still needs to come on up, but I'm confident it will. And you even said that, that's just 6 weeks that you not only could you work out, you didn't need those afternoon naps anymore. Your husband even noticed. And,
Yeah, he even mentioned you're not saying you're tired anymore because I would always say, oh, I'm so tired. And he said, you're not saying that anymore. And he was even like, I feel a little bit more energized. Like I feel like I can do a little bit better in my workouts, even though he didn't need it. I mean, he's an Iron Man. He runs all sorts of crazy stuff. But he was like, I love this bread. This bread is doing good for me too.
That is amazing. Yes, man. And that I love that you got it. You wanted to see the results over Christmas when you were going to be with your family. I just think of that's some pretty great faith. You believe things were going to be different. You're like, I'm going to show them that this bread.
I did. And of course, I'm now known as the crazy bread lady because I literally talk about it at least once or twice a day with someone I don't know, a grocery store, a basketball game. Like I make it for people all the time. People who say they're gluten-free. I make the bread and I tell them, I'm telling you, it's not the gluten. It's a commercially processed flour, and I share your podcast with them, and then I make them a loaf of bread, and then I check up with them in the next couple of days, like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing with the bread? And they always say, it's great. I feel amazing. I have no side effects.
That's amazing.
I'm the crazy bread lady, and I'm totally proud of it.
That is amazing. Yours is not an isolated testimony. We have heard so many stories like yours over the years. And, sometimes I get a little pushback when I share these, it's the bread stories, and people say the bread is not some kind of miracle cure. But what they're not understanding is it's so nutritious. It's full of vitamins, minerals, and there's several key factors that play into anemia. And the nutrients provided in real whole grains, they play a key role, and vitamin E being one of them. And I can't preach enough about vitamin E. It's a powerful antioxidant that protects the cell membrane of every cell in our body. And if what people don't understand, if this cell membrane is compromised, then cell death occurs. If cell death exceeds cell replacement, which our cells are constantly dying and constantly being replaced, But if cell death exceeds cell replacement, if that cell membrane is compromised, then this affects the strength of the organ or system that these cells are a part of. And what I learned when people kept saying, I've been anemic all my life and 6 months on this bread and I'm not anemic anymore. I've heard others, I was getting iron transfusions and a few weeks on this bread, I don't need one. So in anemia, this can be caused by compromised red blood cells. If the red blood cells are dying faster than they can be replaced, the result will be anemia. And just like you found, no amount of iron supplementation can fix that. And I know this is a very simplistic explanation and maybe a little too simplistic, but that in a nutshell is what's happening. And this is a very real cause and effect. And flour and bread made from freshly milled wheat supply the much needed vitamin E for our cell membrane protection, as well as ample iron. So, and I always remind people, it should not be forgotten that when flour started being fractionated and they took the bran and germ out and white flour came on the scene and became the food for everybody, anemia was one of the 3 epidemic diseases that surfaced shortly after. And so we have to understand that. And I'm always amazed at the varying health benefits when this one simple food is added to the diet. So you also mentioned your daughter. Now, your little one that went gluten-free, she had the migraines and the vomiting. Did any of that reoccur once you started doing the bread, even though wheat has those gluten-forming proteins?
No, she eats 2 slices a day as well. And she has had no side effects.
That's
none
amazing.
at all. Yeah, if anything, I would say that I feel like she's more joyful. And I say that in a way, like I feel like her mood, she's just in a better mood.
Yeah.
And I attribute it to the bread. I mean, that's kind of, it could be speculative because I haven't actually taken her blood. I haven't done blood tests on her to see that. But yeah, she just seems a little more joyful, in a better mood. She's very playful. I mean, she's actually the little bitty crocker now. She literally figures out on her own how to make biscuits and like do everything. She'll go online and like find a fresh milled flour recipe and literally just mill it on her own and make everything on her own. So
she's now what, 10 or 11?
11. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I talk a lot about fiber, a lot about vitamin E, and I did finally do a whole podcast on the B vitamins. They are so abundant in whole grains. And those are your happy vitamins. Those make your mood better. And then the fiber from grains in particular that get dumped into your colon undigested, those good gut organisms, they feed on that fiber, producing more B vitamins, serotonin and dopamine, which we all know, those are our feel-good, happy hormones that we need. So I don't think it's anecdotal at all and just a coincidence. I find it very intriguing. So now, is this the same daughter that had warts? You mentioned that one of your daughters had 20 warts on her hand for years.
Yes. So she's actually a gymnast. And so this was really difficult for her because when she was on her gym team, she touches the bars and a lot of the kids thought that it was like contagious and they were going to get the warts. And so she struggled a lot because she would get made fun of and such. And I would always we'd do the freeze off things, that to get rid of them. And I never thought to look into like why this is occurring. Yeah. Until I found you, Sue. And then I heard a bunch of wart stories and I'm like, wait, this can help with warts? This is crazy. So I would say her eating 2 slices a day for, I'd say about 5 weeks, I'm telling you, she had 20 warts total on both of her hands and they vanished. She has no more warts on her hands. They're completely gone. And so she now, of course, is a believer because it directly affected her.
Right. She goes, I'm making this bread. I'm going to make sure I don't get these ugly warts again.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And one thing people don't realize, which, I know the kids were scared and concerned that they were going to catch it. But the only time I ever had warts in my life, I had 2. I took gymnastics one quarter at college. So you do pick it up, from like moist, warm mat, like tumbling mats, pools, around locker rooms, things like that. It's not, that's not uncommon. So again, whole grains, particularly bread made from freshly milled flour, is a rich source of vitamin E. And vitamin E, again, protects the integrity of every cell in our body, making them less susceptible to a viral invasion. And warts are caused by a virus. It's simple as that. So when that cell membrane is not compromised, it can help prevent and rid the body of even the most stubborn cases of viruses such as warts that have been there for years. And we have thousands of wart stories. And like, again, people go, oh, that's just coincidence. She's crazy. Eat this bread and your warts will go away. It's the nutrients that bread is supplying. And unfortunately, vitamin E is very lacking in today's American diet. And so,
yeah, my magnesium actually went up too, which I don't know if you looked into that as well. I don't know if I've heard you talk. You probably have. I just haven't gotten to that podcast yet. But yeah, my magnesium went up. It's now in range. It's at 4.1. And
wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that because, and your iron, see, this is something. And I just did my latest 2 podcasts are on phytic acid because bread, particularly wheat bran, gets such a bad rap of, oh, you got to break down the phytic acid. It'll keep you from absorbing your minerals like calcium, magnesium, iron. And that is just not correct at all. It actually protects you from overabsorption. And there's plenty of these minerals in bread, and your body breaks it down with an enzyme called phytase. So it's not a bad guy. And so I love it when I hear people say, my calcium levels went up, my iron levels went up, my magnesium levels went up. That just discredits that whole thing that phytic acid will keep you from absorbing those nutrients. So, wow, what an amazing story. Okay, so are there any other benefits you've seen since you emailed me last? Anything we didn't mention? You mentioned your husband has noticed more energy. How about your mom? You said something about telling your mom to try it to see if it would help her. What was going on with her?
Yeah. So I actually have a couple family members. I mean, obviously I've talked to every single one of my family members about this. Like, in excess. They know now.
Just can't be quiet. When something's helping you and you know it's going to help someone else, you just have to tell them.
Exactly. Yeah. So my mom specifically, I think because she was the one who pretty much first got it started for me because she was here when I was on the conference. She's mentioned when we got back, she's like, Laura, the first time I had a piece of this bread, I like in 30 minutes, like went straight to the bathroom and was able to, go.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, that's awesome. And she's like, yeah, is it the bread or is it something I just ate here at your house? And I'm like, no, Mom, it's the bread. It's high in fiber and it's going to help get things going down there. And she was like, I love this so much. And so sorry, Mom, calling you out. She's now very regular because she has her own mill. She has her own bread maker. She makes her own bread now. On her own. And so she's a believer as well because of the personal benefits she's seen for herself.
Wow. That is so great. That is so great. And did you mention, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you mention that you're going to try to introduce this into your assisted living facilities?
Yes. So I currently have 3 locations. They're all very close to where I live. And if I don't know if any of your listeners are aware of being in assisted living, because you're on so many medications, there can be a large problem of you not being able to be regular.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of laxatives that they take. I mean, some of them even take suppositories because they have such a hard time. I mean, it can be impacted where it gets stuck and it's very painful. And so we see this all the time. And so when I started, obviously eating the bread and seeing the benefits for myself, I thought, well, maybe this is something that I can implement, at my locations. And so I had a lady who was, had really, really just horrible. It just would just get impacted and stuck and she had a lot of pain. And so I talked to the family about incorporating the bread. They of course, I mean, they're believers. And so when I told them, Jesus says that he's the bread of life. Like, why would he say bread? He could have used any other thing, but he said bread.
Anything. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so they were like, I told them the whole story and for myself. And they were definitely on board. And so I started implementing it, but I need to create a realistic kind of logistical system to make it more frequent. So I'm still in the works on that. I'm going to do it. I already told myself I need to implement this at all my locations. I just need to logistically figure out how to do the fresh milled, because I have chefs in each location. So I probably just going to have them mill the flour and then maybe my night staff throws everything in the bread machine. And then they have fresh milled bread every day. The logistics of it, I'm still trying to figure out. I know that she did. She probably had bread for, I'd say 3 weeks. And then I just got super busy and I couldn't make it myself. So I need to be more adamant about making it for her.
Yeah.
But I know she did have benefits just from the 3 weeks of having it. So
Yeah.
I need to get back
Well,
on the bandwagon on that.
this is a real passion of mine. So you let me know. We can
Okay.
brainstorm and see how I can help you in any way get this, because we owned a bakery for a little while, and right before we ended up having to close, the bakery just didn't survive the gluten-free thing. But I did a whole study and a presentation and took it to several assisted living homes and begged them, said, we'll provide the grain and and they had cooks, they had people in the kitchen. And I said, it's so easy, and buy the bread from us, but then you can make muffins and pancakes and grits and just do this, because constipation is a huge dilemma. And I said, if you could cut down on that, which is a front domino of so many other things, as you probably heard from some of my stories. So this is a real passion of mine. I've just always wanted to see it get in the hands of those who really desperately could use it. And
let me know.
and their nutrition is so compromised because their appetite is decreased. Some of them, have chewing and issue problems. And bread is the most nutrient-dense food God has given us,
Exactly. Yes.
So
I honestly would be really excited to brainstorm with you on that and figure something out, because if I can do it in my 3 locations, but then I can also tell all of the individuals I work with throughout the United States, because they're opening these all over the United States. That's something they can implement there at their house too. I mean, it could really make a huge difference in the assisted living world.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna have a conversation soon. So anyway, anything else? So your mom, that's great. Your husband's on more energy, no warts. How about your other little daughter?
So my other daughter, she's 14. She obviously eats the bread. She loves the bread. But she's 14, so I don't think she's as vocal about it making a difference in her life.
It'd be cool. She's not going to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah, she's in the cool phase. So, but yeah, she still eats it. She cuts herself 2 slices a day in the morning for breakfast before she goes to school. So, she's very much on board for that. She loves that. My younger daughter and I make the biscuits. We make the waffles. We make all the things, and so she reaps the benefits of that. So she definitely likes it.
Because I'm not going to go telling all my friends that I poop every day, but
exactly. Yeah. So my father-in-law actually, he lives in our neighborhood. He lives close to us here. And so when I first started making the bread, he visits every now and again. And so he'd come in and he's like, what's that smell? Are you making bread? Like, what are you making? I'm like, yeah. So I told him the whole story about, of course, fresh mill flour and versus commercially processed flour, and I told him specifically the fibrous benefits that it'll, get you regular. And he's like, oh, really? Does it? He's like, give me a piece of that bread. So he grabbed one. He's like, oh, this is really good. And so every day he would then come over because he knew that I had bread and he really liked the bread and it was helping him, with his regularity.
Yeah.
And so he is now a crazy bread grandpa because he now mills his own flour and he has his own bread machine and he makes his own bread as well.
Oh my goodness. But I just love it. I mean, it's delicious. That's the thing.
It is.
It's so delicious. Who's going to, like your 14-year-old, she loves it. And she may not talk about all the benefits and how she feels. And I know my son, he talked about how he took for granted the way we ate, and that him not being sick and him being regular. And then when he moved out and kind of, single young guy, I'm going to eat all these things. And he was like, first time he got sick, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
So that is so interesting. Well, Laura, golly, thank you so much for sharing your story. I could just talk to you forever. We seem like very kindred spirits. I'm an all-in kind of person, pretty passionate. I'm going to tell everybody about bread. And anyway, so before we close, I always like to ask my guests to share any final words of encouragement or thoughts you would like to leave our listeners with today. Just whatever God puts on your heart. And if there's anything we missed, go ahead, share it. Just whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So if there's anything that I could tell people along the process, that it's not an easy process. I think going through life is hard. Life is not supposed to be easy. And I think struggling with your health is very, very difficult. And trying to find what's wrong and then finding the solution to it is a process in itself. And so once I did find the bread, I was lucky to have my mom help me learn it all, but I still had, struggles with it. Like sometimes the bread wasn't consistent. It wouldn't come out, the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
And it could be frustrating, like very frustrating, because you spent all this time, making this bread, and then it comes out like looking terrible, and you're just like want to throw it across the kitchen. But if I was to tell anybody, if I was to tell your listeners anything, I would say, just stick with it. Like it's not going to be perfect. Your first 20 loaves of bread are probably not going to be the greatest, but that's okay. Like just keep trucking along, keep tweaking things, keep listening to the podcast, keep, looking up other individuals and how they, make fresh mold flour bread. Because I'm telling you, it dramatically changed my life. And I know that if you are disciplined with it, it will change your life too. And it's really funny that you mentioned what God put on your heart, because I have this Bible app on my phone, and it sends me a verse every day. And I thought it was just so not a coincidence. It was totally God. The Bible verse I got this morning was Hebrews 12:11, and it's, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it." And I literally was like, God, are you telling me that I should share this today? Because
Yes.
I literally think that you need to be disciplined in this area.
Yes.
I think having one slice once or twice a week isn't really going to make a difference. If you really want to incorporate this in your life and see and reap the benefits,
Right.
you have to be disciplined. And so I think that's my one encouragement is discipline, yes, is not fun in the time. But I always say discipline is freedom, because I think if you're disciplined in certain areas of your life, you really do have freedom in that. It could be spiritually, physically, relationally, anything. Having discipline is really important. And I am telling you, that's one thing that has kept me on track in all these areas of my life is being disciplined.
Yes.
And so I would say keep the course, keep going, no matter how hard it may be. I know that within 6 weeks, 6 weeks is not a long time. It goes by so fast. And if you're consistent just in a short amount of period of time, it will make a huge dramatic difference in your health.
Exactly. That is a good word for today, discipline. And even in the failures, and I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years now. And just the other day, I gave away bread to my friend to feed to her chickens because it was a total flop. Now, it was a new recipe I was trying to create, but it is. But it's delicious along the way. So even those flops, but like you said, I've never seen one food make such a drastic improvement in my health in such a short amount of time. And you saw the same, your father-in-law, your mom, you've all seen the same things. So many others like yourself, they often mention to me that they used to be confused about Jesus calling himself the bread of life. If Jesus compared himself to bread, then how could bread be bad for us? Well, real bread made with freshly milled whole grains the way God intended is life-giving and life-sustaining. And that's what Jesus was comparing himself to. So
exactly. Yeah. The other biblical story that I thought was funny was when the Pharisees were giving the disciples a hard time because they were picking grain. They were, quote unquote, harvesting on the Sabbath. So they were picking grain and eating it like straight from it. And I thought that was interesting too. I was like, oh, see, God weaves it throughout the Bible. Like he's telling us exactly what to do. We just have to have open eyes and open heart.
Yeah, it is everywhere. Just, oh my goodness. And yours is truly a testimony worth sharing. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. I know you're a busy lady, but to personally share your story with everyone listening. And, to everyone listening, just remember Laura's words today, Hebrews 12:11, discipline. And to me, now this discipline was pleasant because I love the bread, but I know we're busy. We live in a busy time. And you may be thinking, I don't have time to do this, but I'm just telling you, it's worth every second that you invest in it. And to everyone listening, I'm going to just encourage you like Laura did, keep seeking, keep praying, and God will give you the answers and the help you're looking for. But I want to remind you, it may come in a way that you least expect it, through bread, but not just any bread, real bread from freshly milled flour. So press on, my friend, and I can't wait to talk more with you. And to everyone listening today, I know you were encouraged because I was, and I knew a lot of Laura's story. But until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.